isn't the countdown number really, really small? I should have locked that. I've accidentally made it tiny, weeny, little orange numbers on the lower left of the screen. Oh well, that's the countdown till it starts. You can watch the train for a bit, or out of the train for a bit. I don't know why I'm talking in this voice, but I am.
The following episode of the 8 p.m. quiz may contain strong language, adult themes, and very bad jokes. Please approach it with care.
Oh look, already I've cut to the pictures for the wrong thing. Hello, you'll meet our little pink friend a little later. Hello, welcome. I'm still Gary and this is the 8 p.m. quiz of everything 2023 part 1. A stupid name for what is just a fairly ordinary pub quiz style thing. I look very fat today, don't I? And I'm getting reflections off the glasses. Oh well, I'll come in like this and I'll look even more. I think, hello, yes, I've done hello. Over the next hour and a half or so, we'll have a quiz. There are 3 parts. Each consists of 3 rounds and each round consists of 5 questions. The smart ones among you will realise that means there's 45 questions in all. You'll be writing down the answers and at the breaks between the parts, we'll check them. We will see how they go. While we're waiting for the latecomers to join us, let me just mention that
the 8 p.m. quiz is a Skank Media production. Sorry.
What is fucking wrong with my fingers today? That's my... Don't ask. There's a row of buttons there. I just pressed the wrong one.
The 8 p.m. quiz is a Skank Media production. Sorry.
The letters K and C are different. C for crowdfunding. I thought I had K for crowdfunding. K stands for closer. There you go. My crowdfunding campaign's running at the moment, stillgarian.com/refresh2023. Those of you who follow me regularly know the details. It's all about refreshing my hardware. We're 86% of the way to target 4 currently, which is about getting better camera, big external monitor, well, bigger external monitor than the one in target 3. And there's exactly a week to go. It finishes next Thursday night, Australia Day, 26th January, at 9 p.m, as 9 p.m. things sort of do. I would like to say hello to Me and mine, Jim Campbell. Pong, you've joined us again. Hello, Pete Lawler. Thank you for joining us. Dana Sibera? Which would you prefer, Dana or Dana? Sibera? Not sure. Jim, I've said hello to Brendan Ralph. Good to see you. And others. Those of you who are there, nearly all of you have played this before. But the game mechanics, there's up to a minute between when I speak and it goes up the line to YouTube, down to you type, back up to YouTube and back to me. So it'll take a little while for me to respond. And I'll do that bit in a minute. I've done the delay. You'll be writing down the answers. We'll check them as we go along. I've done that. What else do I need to say? Oh yeah, don't put your answers in the chat. That's just wrong. Unless they're both, they have to be both that reflection's shitting me. It has to be both funny and wrong to put in the chat. Do shit post in the chat. There was a distinct lack of shit posting on Thursday night, and that did disappoint me. And don't cheat. There's no point cheating because there are no prizes. You're only cheating yourself. Now, I hope your drinks are ready. I hope your pencils are ready. And let's go into part one. Round one. Round one is always new news, as in the news. 5 questions. Each one, keep track of these. Question 1. This morning, a Qantas flight returned to Sydney after reporting engine trouble. Where was it meant to be going? Where was the Qantas flight going before it turned back? For a point. Question 2. According to a report in The Australian and then running everywhere else through the entire fucking media today, there's a push in the Liberal Party for the return of a former MP to take a Senate spot vacated by Jim Molan, who's dead now. Which former MP do certain senior Liberal Party people want to return into the Senate? Question 3. In the Mediterranean, a pilot of an Armed Forces of Malta helicopter, registration Alpha Sierra 1429er, got into trouble on Monday. Why did that pilot get into trouble? For a point. I'll tell you how many points as we score them. Well, no, I'll tell you as we go. Most things are a point, but many things are not a point. They're more than a point. Question 3 was the Armed Forces of Malta helicopter pilot. Why did they get into trouble? Question 4, something remarkable happened in China this week, or at least it was in the news this week. It's something long-term. It's something that will create economic and political challenges, perhaps even a challenge for the economy of the whole world. What happened in China this week? What is the big long-term thing that happened in China this week? That's question 4. And question 5 is our first picture question. There it is. 3 people in the news this week. Who are these 3 people? There is a point for each of them. If I had a separate video director, I would deal with that slight camera or green screen adjustment at this moment. But the way I use Ecamm Live as my kind of streaming and video switching software. And the problem is, if I start fiddling around with the camera in one of the scenes and then replicate those settings to all of the rest of the scenes, it fucks up one particular thing that I don't want to fuck up. How's that for technical talk? Have you been looking at those 3 people enough? I hope you have been. I might... can I leave them there a bit longer? No, I cannot. So, let's go on to round 2. Now, round 2 is always one of those where I choose a special subject. And today, New Zealand's Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern announced that she's going to stand down. She's going to retire from politics at least. Her polling has been terrible, so can't blame her really. Her term as Prime Minister will conclude no later than the 7th of February, and she will not stand for re-election. The election, I think, is in October. Anyway, I think that Australians should know all about their neighbours. So this round will be about New Zealand. Ta-da! I've spent so long fucking around to find that. Question 6, therefore. Jacinda Ardern steps down, as I just said. What year was she elected for a point? What year was she elected? Question 7. Unlike Australia, New Zealand actually has a treaty between its Indigenous people, the Maori, and the colonial invaders. For 1 point, what is the name of that treaty between the Maori and the white folk? And for the 2nd point, what year was it signed? So, what is the name of the treaty? Famous treaty in New Zealand, and what year was it signed? Question 8. New Zealand was the first country in the world to give women the vote. Quite remarkable. What year did that happen in? In what year did New Zealand give female-type women the... Oh no, that sounds a bit turfish. Women, not men, the vote. And I'll give you a clue. It was at least 10 years before Jacinda Ardern became Prime Minister. Question 9. In what century did the Maori arrive in New Zealand? This is interesting. New Zealand was actually the very last country, the very last thing which is now a country where people arrived. And actually, no, that's got to be bullshit, because there's Antarctica. So I got that from a fun facts about New Zealand list. And it said, oh yes, New Zealand was the last country to be settled by humans. And I just, as I say that, no, it's not. I mean, Antarctica. Sure. Anyway, in what century did the Maori arrive and settle in New Zealand? And question 10, how much plutonium are you allowed to have in New Zealand? In the law, how much plutonium are you allowed to have? It's a weird thing about New Zealand, really. There you go. Let's now go on to round 3, and it's the geekery round, science and technology and stuff like that. Question 11, what is this? You can tell me what its name is, you can tell me what that does. It's a bit of engineering equipment. What is it? What does it do? How does it work? Why would you want it? Pete Lawler's in the chat saying, it was a little moment ago, saying that Antarctica isn't a country. That is literally, oh, yeah. Antarctica is not a country. I don't know. Anyway, question 11, what's the thing on screen? And question 12, what is the planet on the screen now? Now, there's multiple parts for this. There's 3 points up for grabs for this one. First of all, which planet is that? Second, the planet is, of course, named after a Roman god. The god of what, though? So there's a planet. Its name is also the name of a Roman god, and that god is the god of what? And then, that's the Roman god. Who is the Greek counterpart to that Roman god? So your 3 points are going to be the name of the planet, the realm or what the Roman god with that name is in charge of, and who's the Greek god, the equivalent Greek god of the Roman god for which that is the name of the planet. A clue, it's one of the planets in our solar system. It's not the Earth. That's enough clues, I think, for question 12. Question 13, if you were using the Bessemer process, what would you be making for a point? The Bessemer process, B-E-S-S-E-M-E-R, the Bessemer process. It's a craft or perhaps industrial process. If you were using that process, what would you be making? Question 14, it's a yes or no question. Are flying foxes bats? Scientifically speaking, are flying foxes, are they bats? I mean, they're pretty big. Are they bats? Anyone in eastern and northern parts of Australia, you'll be used to flying foxes. Some beautiful colonies of flying foxes around Sydney. In fact, Apostrophe Pong and I know of when we were living in Enmore, they used to come, we had a typical two-storey terrace house there for a bit, and across the road there was a date palm tree, and the flying foxes used to come and eat the dates when they were in fruit. And it's amazingly social. They'd come two at a time because two of them could hang on the big bunch of dates and eat. And there was a third, an older flying fox sitting guard over that, and it would squawk to tell the feeding flying foxes that their turn was up, and those two would fly off and two more would come in and they'd be done. But hi Pete Sandilands, thank you for joining us. Anyway, question 14, scientifically speaking, are flying foxes bats? And finally in this round, question 15, the critter question, what is that? What is that? What is that thing called? The one on the screen. It has a name, common name will do. I mean, if you know its scientific name, bonus point for you, obviously. But what is that? Is the critter question for this moment. Okay, that ends round 3, which ends part 1, which means it's time to go back to the start of the round and see what the answers are. Oh, that flare off my glasses. I could take my glasses off, but then we'd be, ooh, little piggy eyes over there. Okay, roll back. The Qantas, question 1, the Qantas flight, this is 1 point. The Qantas flight was going to Fiji. Fiji was the destination of that plane that ran into trouble, point for that. Question 2, according to the Australian and then all of the other newspapers, the Liberal Party's thinking about bringing back Tony Abbott, putting him into the Senate. Tony Abbott is the answer there. What a horrifying thought. Question 3, you may have seen this accidentally stick up. This is what the Armed Forces of Malta pilot did. They drew a cock and balls in the sky, or at least the flight path did. So drew a dick and balls is the answer to question 3. This is a quality quiz. Question 4, what happened in China? The population went down in the last year. According to the ABC report on this, the population growth has been slowing down for years. That's why they dropped the one-child policy. Most places, as they become wealthier and healthcare improves, you don't need to have as many children. There's no need for the population to go up. People would rather have consumer goods than more kids, all of that. But this was earlier than expected. The projection said it would come at some point, but in fact, In 2022, the population of China fell by about 850,000. So that's question 4. The population went down. Question 5, the picture question, 1 point each for these. On the left, that is Russian tennis star Daria Kasatkina. She plays tennis. She also came out as gay last year and is a bit worried about her future in homophobic Russia. So I'll accept a point for Daria the Russian or something like that. But half a point for a Russian tennis player. How's that? In the middle, that is Energy Minister Chris Bowen making excuses this week about gas prices or complaining or something. So Chris Bowen in the middle. And on the right, that is former Senator and Major General Jim Molan, who died this week from cancer. It's been a bit depressing seeing all of the people praising his work because, as the Green Left Weekly put it, Jim Molan, he wasn't a war criminal, he just oversaw alleged war crimes. And he's also a bit of a fan of British neo-Nazi stuff on social media. So I, for one, am not sad to see him go. I mean, I didn't know him, but there you go. Point each for Daria Kasatkina, Chris Bowen, and Jim Molan. Okay, on to round 2, New Zealand. Jacinta Ardern, question 6, 2017 was when Jacinta Ardern was elected, 2017 for a point. Question 7, it was the Treaty of Waitangi for a point, Waitangi, Waitangi, and it was signed in the year 1840 for the other point. So Treaty of Waitangi and 1840, 2 points available there. Hello, Oberon's Ghost, who's joining us a little late this evening. A good spot to join us because there's 2 full rounds to go. Question 9, in what century did the Maori arrive in New Zealand? The answer is the 1200s, or if you prefer to call it, the 13th century. I do wish we'd change how that works, but I think we're kind of stuck with it. So 1200s or the 13th century. The Maori arrived in New Zealand. And question 10, how much plutonium are you allowed to have in New Zealand? The answer, of course, is none. It is totally illegal. Duh. However, here's the fun fact. You are allowed to own a pound of uranium. Well, not you own, but high schools, secondary schools are allowed to have a pound of uranium. That's 450 grams of uranium, or the same amount of thorium. According to New Zealand's Atomic Energy Act of 1945, that material can be used in schools for the purpose of instruction and of investigation into radioactivity and its properties, so in high school science classes and the like. However, if you cause a nuclear explosion, there is a fine of $1 million. That should make good. So yeah, the actual answer to question 10 is 0. If you tried to be clever and knew about that other weird law. Question 8. Dean Madden, well spotted. I did miss question 8, was about the first country in the world to allow women to vote. That was in 1893 for the point. 1893 for question asterisk, or question 8 if you don't hold the shift key down, Jim Campbell. So I'll run through the New Zealand answers again because that was a bit confusing. Question 6, 2017. For a point. Question 7, Treaty of Waitangi and 1840, 2 points available there. Question 8, 1893 for a point. Question 9, the 1200s or the 13th century for a point. And question 10, 0 for a point. Now on to round 3, the geekery. This device here, that is called a centrifugal governor, and it's used to control the speed of particularly steam engines, but you can use it on any kind of a device. What happens is it spins around. As it spins around, the balls rise up. I mean, same here. And when it reaches a certain point, it cuts off the steam or allows some steam to escape so that or cuts off the steam. So whatever the device is, whether it's a steam locomotive or such, looks like it's on a steamship there. Anyway, it prevents the steam-powered machine from spinning too fast. So a governor is fine. It's fully called a centrifugal governor, or there's some other names for it. But you either knew what it was or you didn't. Question 12, 3 points available here. First point, it's the planet Neptune. That is the planet Neptune. Second point, the Roman god Neptune is the god of fresh water and the sea. So god of the water, the ocean, the sea. Will get you the point there. And the Greek equivalent, the third point, is Poseidon. So if you knew that, you've had an adventure, and that will get you 3 points. Neptune, the sea, Poseidon. So that's question 12. Question 13, if you were using the Bessemer process, you would be making steel. The Bessemer process was the very first inexpensive way of making steel out of pig iron. Well, for mass production of steel, put it that way. So steel is the answer for a point. Question 14, and here is one of them, a flying fox. Are they bats? The answer is yes. According to the Tolga Bat Hospital in Queensland, an authority on the subject, flying foxes are bats that do not use echolocation. They have large eyes and they eat fruit and nectar. They can be called bats, flying foxes, fruit bats, megabats, or Enterochiroptera. Some people prefer not to call them fruit bats, as it doesn't acknowledge that a huge part of their diet is actually nectar and pollen, because we all love to suck on a flower. So the answer to question 14 is yes. And the answer to question 15, what is that? That, dear contestant, is a pink fairy armadillo. A pink fairy armadillo. Chlamyphorus truncatus. You can find them in Argentina. They're quite rare. That means obviously you would like to see a video. Here's one. Oh, I forgot to put the credit on. Anyway, you can find this on YouTube. There is your little pink fairy armadillo having a marvellous time. That's for a point. So there's a grand total in part one of a potential 20 points. And there we are. There he is again. Back to me now. There's a total of 20 points possible in part one. So while you're doing that, I'll just remind you, and totaling up your score out of 20 and putting it in the chat. Here's the thing. That thing. There. Crowdfunding. Many of you I know have already contributed your support to that. But if you enjoy the quiz, just pledge another $5 or $10, $20, something to add into the total. Because, you know, no one pays me to do this. I struggle. How many have you got out of 20 people? It can't. Oh, what do you do? Dana, 7 out of 7 for 3. Okay, 11 out of Pete. Now, Pete Sandilands, you're new here, I think, to the quiz. Anything approaching 50% of the score is considered really good in this. We know there are hard questions. I've asked and people said, no, don't make them easier. So, all right, I'll keep doing that. Pete Sandilands, 11. Some of you seem to be taking a little while with the old numbers. Dana, 10 out of 20. That's good. These are good. I thought, yeah, maybe the news ones are a little easy. A couple of them were a little easier this time. Me in mind, you're not writing down the answers, but guesstimate 5.5 points. Oh, dear. Okay, did I mention like a bonus? I only made it 20 points available. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, hang on, I'm looking at the wrong thing. I did double check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Now I've only got 19. Anyway, Jim's doing well, 12 points. Pete Lawler, 11. Pong, 5. Sorry for all of the Anglo-centric stuff, Pong. That's where we are. Oh, dear. Okay, let's go.
The 8 p.m. quiz is a Skank Media production. Sorry.
Fucking did it again. Hey, K, C. I had it as K once. That's the thing. Let's go on to round 2. No, part 2, round 5. You're not keeping track either, Brenton. Well, have you all become cowards? Okay, round 4 is about the media in the wider sense of the word. Music, film, television, print, novels, art. Okay, question 16. German musician Ludwig van Beethoven wrote how many full symphonies? You know, the full, big, fat Western European music tradition of the symphony, the vast, overly long and sometimes quite tedious musical works. Beethoven was one of the masters of them. How many of them did he write? I mean, he wrote lots and lots of things and then went deaf, or actually went deaf and then wrote more things. How many did he write? That's question 16. Question 17, which actor, in the non-gendered sense of the word, has been in all these films? Here's a list of films. And this time I'm giving you 2 points for this one, for reasons. Okay, who's been in all these films? Leatherheads, that's Leatherheads. The Men Who Stare at Goats. The Monuments Men. Return to Horror High, Spy Kids 3 Game Over, which was also a film we mentioned last time. What else? Three Kings or Tomorrowland, the 2015 film. So which actor has been in all of these films? Leatherheads, The Men Who Stare at Goats, The Monuments Men, Return to Horror High, Spy Kids 3 Game Over, Three Kings, and Tomorrowland. That's question 17 for 2 points. Question 18. Name the major tennis tournaments that make up the Grand Slam. 1 point for each of them you name. And all right, and 1 point off for each one you name which isn't. So the Grand Slam of tennis, which you are called getting the Grand Slam if you win all of them. Name them. Name the tournaments. I'll give you time to write them down. I don't do many sports questions in this because I kind of throw in at least one because I kind of figure you have to. I don't think it's important to know. There you go. I didn't shave today. You'd be thrilled to know that. With the lighting there, it makes it sort of very shadowy. Looks worse. Okay, that's question 18. Name the major tennis tournaments that make up the Grand Slam. Question 19. In what year was the series The Simpsons first broadcast? Now, to be clear, I do mean the standalone television series, not the short animated clips in the Tracy Ullman show, which is where the Simpsons started. I mean the proper standalone television series. Which year did that begin? And question 20 is, of course, where's 20? There. It's a picture question. Who are these people? there's a theme. They're obviously all youthful heroes and sort of sci-fi-ish, I guess, too. So who are they? I want the character names, please, not the actors. So, and that as it happens, they're all from the 1960s. That wasn't planned, but it just happens they are. So 1 point each. Who are these three people? I reckon in order of difficulty, the one on the right is probably the easiest. The one on the left is more difficult, and then the one in the middle, I think, is really quite obscure. But you may surprise me. I'm just having a drink. I'm not drinking alcohol tonight because I was basically too lazy to go and get some. Okay. On to round 5 then, which is World Affairs. I hope you had enough time for that. I don't care if you don't. Question 21, who is the President of Indonesia? And for a second point, what year were they elected? So, President of Indonesia, another of our nearby neighbours. You should know this. He's also, he gave it away, all right, has also been president for a number of years. So which year? Been there a while. Let me just check something important that happened. Oh, there you go. President of Indonesia, and what year were they elected? That's question 21. There are 2 points available. Question 22, what or where is the Giuk Gap? G-I-U-K. The Giuk Gap. G-I-U-K. Where or what is it? Jim Campbell knows the answer to this one. That I know for a fact. Or if he doesn't, he's been fooling us all along. Where or what is the G-I-U-K gap? It's between... you know it or you don't. That's question 22 for a point. Question 23, also for a point, there's going to be mass strikes in France on Thursday. Why? What's got the French people all pissed off so that there's going to be mass strikes this week? The trains are not going to be running. I mean, a lot of France is going to be shut down on Thursday. Why? It's been in the news. Also in the news this week is the President of Vietnam, Nguyen Xuan Phuc. Nguyen Xuan Phuc. President of Vietnam. Why is he in the news? I mean, I know there can be lots of reasons why the President of Vietnam could be in the news this week, but this is a pretty big reason. What is it? That's question 24 rather. It's worth a point. And now, question 25, to give you all a chance to say you've got a few more points. I'll give you 3 points if you know this. It's Lunar New Year this coming weekend. What year will it be? It will be year of the what? Year of Linux on the desktop. No, not that. That's not part of the Chinese zodiac or others. But it's the year of the what coming up this weekend. I'll give you 3 points if you know. We stay with China as we move on to round 6, which is old news, which is also known as history. Question 26. In what year, there's 2 points available here. In what year was the Communist Party of China created? In what year was the Communist Party of China created? And for the second point, in which city did it happen? Now, obviously, there's not really any cities in China to speak of, so this should be straightforward, right? In which city did the Communist Party of China get formed, and the year? That's question 26. Question 27. I do power through these because, I mean, if you're at a pub, you have to repeat it, and people have got friends, and they got drinks and so on. But if you're just watching this, and particularly people on the replay watching this on the live stream, it does get a bit boring if I haven't got any other stories to tell. And yet, if you're trying to play the quiz, you don't want me distracting you with other things. So, I don't know, it's a balance, I suppose. That's why more shit posting would be good. As I said last time, if you want to shit post, do it. If you've got a team together at your place, then have someone doing the writing down and someone else doing the shit posting. 26, Communist Party of China, what year, what city? Question 27, in which year? Oh, there's quite a bit of which year this time. Sorry about that. There's 2 points available for this question. The first point, in which year did the Federation of Malaya gain independence from the United Kingdom and become its own thing and not a colony? So in which year did the Federation of Malaya get out of that? And for the second point, how many red and white stripes were on the flag of the Federation of Malaya? Pretty easy. What year did the Federation of Malaya gain independence? And how many stripes? You know, flag of Malaysia, right? It's got a crescent, it's got a star, it's got stripes. How many stripes? 2 points up for grabs. Question 28, some Australian history now, and another 2 points up for grabs. I'll give you the year this time. This is something that happened in 1891, before Federation. There was a massive strike of workers centred around, oh, there's a bit of striking and industrial stuff. Ooh, this time, nice. Barcaldine, it's a town in Queensland. There were also other towns in Queensland where this strike was centred around. Massive strike. It's an important strike for workers' rights in Australia's history. So for 1 point, what sort of workers were they that went on strike? What was their job? What did they do? What did they... Yeah, they went on strike. So which kind of workers went on strike? And for the second point, at least according to tradition, what organisation was formed in the aftermath of this strike? Quite a well-known organisation when you stop to think about it. But this massive strike and triggered the formation of an organisation. What was the organisation? And question 29. I'll just go over here and turn up image 29. It's a picture question. Who are these people from history? They're all lady people. So there they all are. I'll leave them on screen for a little while. Well, it's hard for me to tell which ones you're more likely to know with these three women. They're all incredibly well known in their fields of endeavour. I mean, incredibly well known. They all have the same shaped chin, I've just noticed. Wow. A great, one in the middle's a fantastic photograph, I think, but also the one on the left. So there you go. So who are these three women here? And I'll leave that on screen while I do question... So anyway, question 29, that's the photo question. 3 women, 3 points. Question 30 is the who am I question. This one's, I'll tell you when I've read it out how many points. Question 30, who am I? I was born in 356 BCE to my father's 4th wife. He had 6 or 7 wives. Well, he was king after all. From an early age, I got a reputation for bravery. At age 10, I tamed a horse that was supposedly untamable because I was smart enough to figure out why the horse was cranky. And he ended up being my horse for many years to come. Eventually, of course, I became king, and I was renowned as a great commander. In fact, I was never, ever defeated in battle. Although I'm married 3 times, there's been much speculation about my sexuality. I died in Babylon, a city I'd planned to make the capital of my realm, at the age of just 32. Who am I? And that's a point, and there's also a point for the name of the horse. So, born in 356 BCE, father was king, therefore I became king. At age 10, I got a reputation for bravery. I tamed an untamable horse, became a horse for many years. Of course, when I became king, I became a commander. I was a great warrior. I was never defeated in battle. There's been speculation about my sexuality. And I died in Babylon at the age of just 32. And Pete Lawler is correct. It's Jim Molan. Point for the name of who that is. It's not Jim Molan. And a point for the name of the horse, of course. Now, that brings us to the end of part 2. Bruce the horse. Bruce is not far off, actually. Okay, let's plough through part 2. We're on schedule. We're doing well. This is fantastic stuff. I'll have to sort of put in an intermission at some point so you've all got time to fix fresh drinks. Have little videos we can play along the way. Question 16. Beethoven wrote 9 symphonies. That's 1 point for the number 9. Question 17. The actor who is in all those films is George Clooney. 2 points if you had George Clooney. By the way, the Men Who Stare at Goats is a fantastic film. It's based on, is it John Ronson? Ronson's, anyway, book of the same name about the weird CIA program in parapsychology. And George Clooney sort of plays the leader of that program who reckons he can kill goats just by staring at him. It's a bit weird. Great film, very funny, very well made. So 2 points for George Clooney there. Question 18, there are 4 points here because there are 4 tournaments in the Grand Slam. Now remember, for each one you wrote down that I don't say, you lose a point. So the 4 really pointful ones are the Australian Open, the French Open, Wimbledon, and the US Open. So there's 4 points there. Australian Open, French Open, Wimbledon, and the US Open. Point for each of them, point off for each one you suggested that's not right. Question 19 for a point. 1989 was the first year of The Simpsons. 1989 for a point. Question 20, it's a picture question. Okay, a point for each of these, left to right. That is Marine Boy. The very first anime for television from Japan that was dubbed and released in the West. So that's Marine Boy. I was a huge fan of Marine Boy and his electric boomerang, and he chewed oxygum so he could stay underwater and had kind of hydrojet heels in his shoes to propel him along. He sort of clicked his heels together and they turned into water jets. The most amazing thing. So that's Marine Boy from originally in Japan from 1965. In the middle, that is Joe 90, a Jerry Anderson production. I'll come back to Joe 90 in a minute. And on the right, that is Will Robinson from the original Lost in Space from 1965. So Will Robinson. So a point each for Marine Boy, Joe 90, and Will Robinson. Now, Joe 90. This is weird. It's a Jerry Anderson production, you know, Thunderbirds and Stingray and Space 1999 and all that. This one's from 1968. Joe here is Joe McLean, a 9-year-old schoolboy. He's adopted by his father, who's a scientist, who invents a device capable of recording expert knowledge and experience and transferring it to another human brain. So what he does is transfer all of this skills of the world's top academic and military minds into his 9-year-old stepson's brain, not at all creepy, and then he gets recruited by as a most special agent for WIN, the World Intelligence Network. So yeah, not at all bad and wrong, that. It was the 60s. It was a different time. Okay, point each for them. Point for knowing the president of Indonesia is this bloke, Joko Widodo. Joko Widodo for a point, and he was elected in 2014 for another point. That's him. Question 22, where or what is the Giuk Gap, G-I-U-K? Well, here's a map. It is the Greenland-Iceland United Kingdom Gap. There you see it there, between Greenland and Iceland and the UK. So you get a point for knowing where that was. And just so you know, the reason it's there is it was a massively, and why Jim Campbell should know, it's a massively important strategic thing, especially for Britain's Royal Navy during the Cold War. Because if the Baltic Fleet, the Russian or Soviet Baltic Fleet you see there, or the Northern Fleet, wanted to get out into the main part of the North Atlantic Ocean and thereby threaten shipping in the Atlantic and get their missile submarines closer to the United States and others, they had to go through this gap somehow. That was the region that they had to go through. I mean, it's quite big, but at the same time, that's the spot. That's the narrowest part. So it was kind of important. Anyway, it's only worth a point. I don't know why I'm going on about it so much. So that's a point for 22. 23, why will there be mass strikes in France? It is going to be, well, it's about the retirement age. There's legislation before the French Parliament to raise the official retirement age and the age where you can get the pension from 62 to 64 years old. I just wish to point out that in Australia it's 66.5 years old now. Why half a year? Because we're going through this transition period to raise the official age from 65 to 67. Many European countries continue to have retirement ages lower than Australia's. I will just say that. I'm not saying it's good or bad. A point for raising the retirement age anyway for France. That was 23. Question 24, why is the president of Vietnam in the news this week? That's him there, Nguyen Xuan Phuc. He's retiring. He's standing down. He's quit. This is big news in Vietnam, obviously. Yeah, anyway, a point for saying he quit. And for an outrageous 3 points, Year of the Rabbit. I don't know why I made that. Well, I do know why I made that 3 points, but you can figure that out for yourselves. 3 points for the rabbit. Okay, question 26. The Communist Party of China was created in, for a point, 1921, and the city was Shanghai for the other point. 1921 and Shanghai. Question 27, Federation of Malaya gained independence in 1957. 57 for a point, 1957 for a point, that is. And the other one, how many stripes on the flag? The answer is 11. 11. Now, Some of you will go, no, 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 it's 14 stripes, it's 14 stripes. And I'll go, ha, 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 no, it's not. That's the flag of Malaysia. I said the flag of the Federation of Malaya. And when Malaysia came in and they got, you know, the other provinces, Sabah and other things in North Borneo and Singapore and things, that's where they went from 11 to 14 stripes. So 11 for the answer. Yeah, that was tough. 28, Australian history, 1891. That was the Shearers' strike. I mean, full fucking marks if you said the Amalgamated Shearers Union of Australasia. But people shear the sheep of their wool for a point. And the organisation that was formed for the other point, the Australian Labor Party. You may have heard of that. So there you go. Picture question, what's that, 29. 29. Okay, some of these are quite tough, some of these are easier. A point each for these. On the left, that is Mexican artist Frida Kahlo with a gap between her eyebrows. She must have been very young there. So Frida Kahlo for a point. In Pete Lawler's saying Singapore is part of Malaysia. Singapore was part of Malaysia. They kicked them out in 1965, I think it was. There you go. In the middle, that is Coco Chanel, the French fashion designer, and probably a Nazi collaborator as well. But, you know, do we hold that against her? I think we might, but that's Coco Chanel. And on the right, that is Rosa Parks, the famous American woman who sat at the front of the bus because she didn't want to go up the back. Great civil rights campaigner. So a point each for Frida Kahlo, Coco Chanel, and Rosa Parks. And question 30, that was Alexander the Great. A point if you said Alexander the Great or Alexander the Third of Macedon. That's, I'm not quite sure where that particular fresco is, but there's one of them. And a point for Alexander the Great. And his horse was called Bucephalus. Bucephalus for a point. Bucephalus the horse, which means ox head for some reason. There you go. So that's all for part 2. I'll just mention again that you're more than welcome to go in and throw a few dollars before we go on to part 3. But we will go straight on to part 3 now, I think. Don't you? I've crapped on enough. Round 7 is geography. Question 31. Which of these two cities is further from the equator? Is it Wellington in New Zealand or London in the UK? Which one is further from the equator? Is it Wellington in New Zealand or London in the UK? Think about that. Excellent shit posting happening on the chat now. You really need to join this live and take part in the shit posting. Much better than Tuesday night, let me tell you. Question 32. Ukraine has been in the news a bit lately. Ukraine shares land borders with which countries? A point for each one you get right, a point off for each one you name which is wrong. Okay? Ukraine shares its land borders with which countries? A point for every one that's right and a point for every one that's wrong. I will give you an easy point to start off with. Russia. Oh, did I mention that there's a possible 30 points in part 2? So when you add in your part 1, there's a total so far of possible 50. Where was I? Ukraine, wasn't I? Scroll. Okay, that's question 32, a point for each of the countries. Question 33. This is not the map question, but it is a map question. That map there, out of curiosity, that map, oh, you can probably find some clues if you squint at that map. This map comes from the World Bank. I found this interesting. It shows the percentage of the population in each country that has access to electricity. Now, I don't know what having access to electricity means, whether it means you have to have some sort of grid connection or local power thing, or whether you just have a diesel generator or a solar panel of your own. But this shows you how, wow, how little access to electricity there is through all of that, well, that place we call Africa and so on. So there's that. Anyway, I just mentioned that because data.worldbank.org is fantastic place to go for raw data for a lot of things like this. Anyway, my question is here for a point, this type of map where you colour regions that already exist with different colours depending on what's showing. In this case, it's different colours or different shades of blue for different percentages. What's that map, what's that type of map called? It has a name. I mean, it's not a contour map, obviously. What's the technical name for this kind of map? All right, that's question 33 for a point. Question 34, that's the flag on screen now of which country? I'll give you a huge clue because the design does not give this away at all. It's in Africa. What country has that flag? Bruce the country. Yeah, sounds about right. Hi, whoever you are. There you go. Which country has that flag? And then question 35, the infamous map question. We'll stay in Africa for a bit. We had East Africa yesterday. We'll have Central Africa today. So how this question works, there's 5 points up for grabs. As you can see, I've numbered the 8 countries that make up Central Africa. Now, you might be saying, well, why are there two number 8s? Well, the answer is both the bits there are part of the same country. Country 7 happens to have a bit that goes all the way down to the coast that separates that off. So they're the countries. I'm now going to read out the names of 5 countries and you have to write down the corresponding letters. And there are therefore 5 points up for grabs. Now, the first 2, you need to be very careful here. A is the Republic of the Congo and B is the Democratic Republic of the Congo, which means obviously the one that isn't democratic. You know how it works. So A, Democratic Republic, no, A is the Republic of Congo, B is the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Okay? Write down the numbers. C is Angola. Which one is in Angola? D, South Sudan. And E, Cameroon, which are those little pastry things. So those 5 countries again: Republic of the Congo, Democratic Republic of the Congo, Angola, South Sudan, and Cameroon. Do you want to leave that up on the map a little longer? Maybe not. I don't have really any stories to tell you about these countries. Oh, maybe about South Sudan. I mean, I went to that, as you know, according to our current opposition leader and Peter Dutton, Melbourne is flooded with African gangs, apparently. And some of them are from South Sudan, apparently. Anyway, I met some of the South Sudanese people at the footy when I went out to see the Western Bulldogs play. VFL, not AFL. And they had a whole big thing there with food. I love that. Fantastic food. It was a specific day. I don't know what the occasion was, but there was lots of food stalls from the various African communities in the Footscray area. And, oh, man, the food was fantastic. Okay, I'll read those countries again. A to E. Let's see if you got them right. A, the Republic of the Congo. B, Democratic Republic of the Congo. C, Angola. D, South Sudan. And E, Cameroon. Okay, that brings to the end of round 7. Round 8 is another special subject round, and the special subject today is penguins. Penguins. So, question 36, how many living species of penguin are there? Now, there is some dispute about this. A couple of species, they're saying, are they still alive? Maybe they're extinct. Maybe they're endangered, whatever. So you'll get the point if you put down any number that's within the range of numbers that they're arguing. So how many living species of penguin are there? I tell you, it's more than 10 and less than 50. It's only worth a point. If you don't know, just write down a number between 11 and 49. How many species of penguin are there? Okay. Question 37 for a point. Which of these, and I'm going to name 5 of them, which of them is not a real species of penguin? Okay. A, the southern rockhopper penguin. The southern rockhopper penguin. B, the blue-eyed penguin. The blue-eyed penguin. C, the macaroni penguin. The macaroni penguin. D, the chinstrap penguin. The chinstrap penguin. Or E, the Fiordland penguin. The Fiordland penguin, I suppose, named after fjords, those deep flooded ocean, you know what a fjord is. Okay, one of those is not real. Is it the southern rockhopper penguin, the blue-eyed penguin, the macaroni penguin, the chinstrap penguin, or the Fiordland penguin? I am going to say the word penguin a lot in the next few minutes. Question 38. The Gentoo penguin is the fastest underwater bird in the world. The Gentoo penguin, they go fast. But how fast can they go? Is it A, and okay, I'm going to read out ranges and numbers. Don't be a smart ass and say some of the ranges include the other one. You fucking know what I mean. Is it A, up to 36 kilometres an hour, which is about 22 miles an hour? Is it up to 42 kilometres an hour, which is about 26 miles an hour? Or is it up to 48 kilometres an hour, which is about 30 miles an hour? A, B or C? Write down your number. Is it 36 kilometres / 22 miles? Is it 42 kilometres / 26 miles? Or is it 48 kilometres / 30 miles? Just how fast can a Gentoo penguin go? Not a euphemism. Question 39. In the Batman universe, there is a character called the Penguin. The Penguin owns a nightclub. What is the name of the nightclub? Yes, in the DC universe, I can never remember. Yeah, DC universe, I hope. Or Marvel. In one of them, Batman, the Penguin. What's the name of the Penguin's nightclub? And finally, question 40. In the movie Madagascar, there's a group of 4 penguins. And the characters are so popular that they got their own movie and TV series called The Penguins of Madagascar. And here they are. They are the Penguins of Madagascar. So 1 point each. What are their names? What are the 4 names of the Penguins of Madagascar? Huge advantage if any of you have young kids, obviously. And for a 5th point, do penguins actually live in Madagascar? Or just in the film? This is question 40. This is about penguins. This is about the Penguins of Madagascar. I want to know their 4 names. Yeah, I really don't have much more to say about that. And finally, round 9, the final round, also known as the just random shit round. Question 41. I'm going to list some names of things. They're all the same kind of thing. You need to tell me what they are. The Australian lowline, the brown Swiss, the Danish Jersey, the Guernsey, the Norwegian red, and Randall lineback. They're all types of what? I'll read them again. Australian lowline, brown Swiss, Danish Jersey, Guernsey, Norwegian red, and Randall lineback. Randall lineback is not an American football player, although it very much sounds like it. Nor a senator from Arkansas. Australian lowline, brown Swiss, Danish Jersey, Guernsey, Norwegian red, Randall lineback. They're all what? What are they? They're all types of a thing. That's question 41 for a point. Question 42, there are 2 points available here. Ye, formerly known as Kanye West, has just got married, according to reports in the media today. What is the name of his new wife for a point? And what country is she from for a 2nd point? Or a point if you didn't know her name. Ye's new wife, what's her name? Where's she from? That's question 42. Ye's new wife, name and country. Question 43. Which former world leader is an anagram of retract the Graham? I mean, what do you say about that? The name, obviously, I mean. Which former world leader has a name that is an anagram of retract the Graham? I'll leave that on screen while go on. Question 44 is always name the city. What city is that? On screen. It is not the city of Retract the Graham. I'll let you look at that city for a little while. I have not been to this city. Shall I narrow it down a bit? You can work out the city. I probably need to give you a bit more time to work out Retract the Graham. Sounds like a bad euphemism, doesn't it? Okay, I think you've had enough time to to retract the Graham. Yeah, and you've probably had enough time with that city. Actually, no, I'll leave it on screen for a little longer because question 45 is a 6-point finale this time. This is the one where I give you the name of something and I give you 3 choices for what it is and you have to tell me which it is. So this time, who or what or where is Frescati House? F-R-E-S-C-A-T-I House. Frescati House. So is it A, Frescati House, or the House of Frescati, was an influential family in Renaissance Italy? The titles of Duke of Parma and Duke of Piacenza and Duke of Castro were all held by various members of this family, and indeed Pope Paul III was a member of this family, the House of Frescati or Frescati House. Or is it B, someone who's better known as Rachel House, a New Zealand actress, comedian, director and acting coach, born in 1971, who appeared in the movies Jojo Rabbit and Thor Ragnarok, and will be in the movie that's currently being filmed, the untitled as yet sequel to Godzilla vs. Kong. That's B. Or C is Frescati House, or rather Frescati House was a Georgian house and estate situated in Blackrock, Dublin, and it was built in 1739 for the family of the Provost of Trinity College in Dublin, in fact. So, in the final question, it's worth 6 points. Is Frescati House, the House of Frescati, the family of Italian nobility, or is it B, the name of another name for Rachel House, a New Zealand actress in those films, or is Frescati House a Georgian house that was situated in Dublin, built in 1739? So that's your final questions. Let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of the random city, and let me just scroll back and go through the answers with you. I'm loving some of the shit posting today. This is much better than last time. Okay, here we go. Question 31. We're in geography first. Question 31. Furthest from the equator is London. London for the point, and by a big margin. London is 51.5 degrees north. Wellington's only 41.3 degrees south. And that just shows you how good and important those North Atlantic warm water currents are, the Gulf Stream, etc. So London for the point. Wellington, by the way, is the southernmost capital in the world, because it's south, not north. Anyway, there you go. 41 to south. It's because Southern Ocean and Antarctica. Point for London. Question 32. Ukraine's land borders. There are 7 of them. 7 points up for grabs. And I'll tell you the real ones. And remember, if you've written down something that isn't in the list I'm going to tell you, then you lose a point for every one. For Ukraine, it is Belarus, Hungary, Moldova, Poland, Romania, Russia, and Slovakia. Okay? They're the 7. Belarus, Hungary, Moldova, Poland, Romania, Russia, Slovakia. Okay. Question 33. This type of map with the coloured bits is called a choropleth map. Choropleth. It's spelled C-H-L-O-R-O-P-L-E-T-H. I'm not checking the spelling. That doesn't matter. You either knew it or not. Point or not, choropleth. And in fact, the first choropleth map that we know of was created in 1826 by Baron Pierre Charles Dupin. That means very little to any of us today. Point for choropleth. Question 34. That's the flag of Eswatini in Africa, in southern Africa. A point for Eswatini. I'll give you half a point if you said Swaziland, because as we explained on Tuesday night, Swaziland changed its name a few years ago, 2018 from memory, to become Eswatini. So a point for that. And 35 is the map question. Okay, here we go. 5 points here. These are the numbers you needed. Republic of Congo is number 6 for the point. Democratic Republic of Congo is number 7 for the point. Angola is number 8. South Sudan is number 3. And Cameroon is number 1. So the numbers you should have written down are 6, 7, 8, 3, and 1. And just to satisfy your curiosity, number 2 is the Central African Republic. They're up all night thinking of that. Number 4 is Equatorial Guinea, the one you need to remember for so many quiz questions. Number 5 is Gabon. And number 7 is, oh, we have Angola. 8 is Angola, rather. We've told you all the rest. So there you go. That's the one we turn off. Penguin round is round 8. Question 36. How many living species of penguin are there? Between 17 and 20. So you get the point if you said 17 or 18 or 19 or 20. They get you the point. Question 37. The one I made up is B, the blue-eyed penguin. There is actually a yellow-eyed penguin, but there is not a blue-eyed... Well, maybe there are some with blue eyes, but there's not one called the blue-eyed penguin. And that does mean... So B was the answer. And it does mean that, yes, macaroni penguin. There is a macaroni penguin. So a point for that. Question 38, how fast can Gentoo penguins go? The answer is A, up to 36 kilometres an hour, about 22 miles an hour. So A for a point. Question 39, the penguin owns a nightclub. It's called the Iceberg Lounge. So you got a point for the Iceberg Lounge. And question 40, oh mate, I don't know whether this is in order, but there's a point each for the names of these penguins. And they are Skipper, Kowalski, Rico, and Private. No, this is not some bad 1950s American naval film about the Navy. These are the names of the penguins. Skipper, Kowalski, Rico, and Private. 1 point each for any of those you got right. And the 5th point, no, there are actually no penguins in Madagascar. So this entire the penguins of Madagascar thing is bullshit. Actually, the penguins of Madagascar are from the thing, and they live in the New York Zoo anyway. It's just stupid all around. Stupid question, really, wasn't it? Question 41, all of those things, the Australian lowline, the brown Swiss, the Danish, they're all types of dairy cow. Oberon's Ghost seems to want half a point for icebergs for the Iceberg Lounge. Yes, you may have it. Question 41, yeah, they're all types of dairy cow. Randall Lineback, they're all named after a country and or a colour, which makes sense. But the American one, you'd guessed it was an American type of cow. The Randall Lineback, there's one there. That's a bull rather than a cow, as is plain to see. But that, dear contestant, is a Randall Lineback. For a point, cow. That's all you had to say. Question 42, Ye's new wife. There she is. Her name is Bianca Censori, Censori. I'll give you the point if you said Bianca, quite frankly, because, I mean, who cares? Bianca Censori for a point, and she is Australian for a point. Jim Campbell is now asking whether all those penguins were in Starship Troopers. Certainly Rico was in Starship Troopers. Wasn't he the protagonist, or at least one of the main characters? That'd be hilarious if they were. Anyway, Bianca Censori for a point and Australia for another point. Question 43. Whose name is an anagram of Retract the Graham for a point? That is Margaret Thatcher. Margaret Thatcher is an anagram of Retract the Graham. Margaret Thatcher, of course, the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland in broadly the 1980s, let's just say. Victor in the Falklands War. Stealer of milk from primary school students. Destroyer of coal mining unions, all of those things. Okay, that's Margaret Thatcher for a point. Which city is this for a point? That is Pyongyang, the capital of North Korea, and I'll explain that building in a minute. There's the photo I showed you. That's Pyongyang. But that big building in the background, just as a matter of amusement, no points for this, but that is the Ryugyong Hotel, or the Ryugyong Hotel, which means the capital of willows, which is another name for Pyongyang. The capital of willows, isn't that lovely? But it's known outside of North Korea as the Hotel of Doom because it's never been finished. They started building it quite some years ago. It's never been finished. It's never opened as a hotel. North Korea does not have the money for that sort of thing. It's 105 stories tall. It's by no means the tallest building in the world, but it's certainly kind of the tallest unfinished building in the world or some such thing. And if you look for it, look for photos of it, all that sort of area down at the front, the foyer area and whatever, it's all kind of like just unfinished concrete. Floors haven't finished. It's total waste of money, but that is North Korea for you. And the final question, Frescati House, the letter you wanted, is C. Frescati House is a Georgian house in Dublin, or it was at least anyway. There it is from a long time ago. It was indeed built in 1739 for the family of John Haley Hutchinson, who was the provost of Trinity College. However, it fell into disrepair and was demolished in the 1980s. So 6 points if you said C. The other ones, where I said A, it was the influential family. No, all those things I told you were in fact about the House of Farnese, not Frescati House is not a thing. And B, Rachel House, all those things about Rachel House is true, except no, her name is not Frescati. Rachel House she was in Jojo Rabbit, but the scene was deleted. She was in Thor Ragnarok. She's currently filming Godzilla vs. Kong, or it's happening this year. She is also in the Netflix series Heartbreak High, which is doing remarkably well. And here's a bit of trivia for you. They, being the filmmakers, they're making a TV series based on the movie Time Bandits, the 1981 film by Terry Gilliam. Yes, there is going to be a Time Bandits film, and one of the writers is Taika Waititi, the rather mad and wonderful New Zealand film director, is one of the 3 writers on it. So I don't have in front of me when that's expected to appear, but there will be a Time Bandits TV series. It's quite amazing. Okay, so by my count, possibly by Jim's count as well, there are 35 points available in part 3, which if you add together with the previous 50 points in the previous parts, means that Your total possible score is out of 85. Wow. Nazis are in Antarctica. Penguins are in Antarctica. Just think about it. Pete Lawler is right. Think about it. Okay. Add your numbers up. It's out of 85. Okay, Pete Sandler's 18 out of the 35, which is really good. Yes, please make it clear whether you're posting your scores for part 3 alone or the total score out of 85. I will put the crowdfunding address up on there. As you say, if you've enjoyed the quiz, chuck a $5 in, chuck a $10 in. Contribute $50 to the crowdfunder. Just give me $500 for the sake of it. You can go to that address but /tip if you miss the deadline or you don't want to be part of the whole possible thing. I don't mind. The money comes to me either way. If you send it to me directly through /tip, there's lower fees. So that's a thing to think about. Got 30 out of 85 is good. Pete Lawler says 156. That is a lie. That is such a lie. Yeah, it's not out of things. Let me just scroll back. I should be looking at some of these scores. No, I'll see the scores when I look at the chat later. But I will thank you all for playing. The last episode of this little mini-series will be next Thursday night. Australia Day, 26th, Thursday the 26th at 8 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time. It'll be just like this one, but, perhaps with less fucking around. I will say we're 86% of the way to that target on the screen. I may have some emails saying we're closer to that target now, but I haven't had time to look at them yet. There's some email there about Serbia that I don't want to really think about. So that's that. Look out on the podcasts for my podcast, the 9 p.m. Edict, if you don't already know about that. What else do I have to tell you? I've told you that we're on again next week. I've told you that the crowdfunder is happening. There it is there. I've told you there's exactly 1 week to go in that, and the final hour will happen during the quiz. So I'll have to have some way of checking that total as I go along. I'll find it on the screen. We can do that. And that's really all I have to tell you. 34 for SRJH, that's pretty good. Pong got 29, that's fantastic. Jim Campbell, 50 out of... Well, I don't know why Jim thinks it's out of 86. I don't know what happened there. Dean Madden, 31, that's nice. Who else do I see here? There's been some great scores. Pete Sandler's 49 out of 85. That is just amazing. That is just amazing. Thank you for taking part. It's been an absolute pleasure. And finally, I'll press the K key correctly. Thanks all for playing. See you next week.
The 8 p.m. quiz is a Skank Media production. Sorry.